Alrighty, waiting for that computer to finish doing its little thing there. Down a little bit. Alrighty. So we are starting in on a project. Of course, we've got many projects. This one I know the guy's gonna like in particular. I'm gonna play around with it this evening, and then I've got to go back and finish up a couple others yet tomorrow. But I figured we'd go ahead and work on this one for this evening and kind of get a start in on it anyways. So good evening time, everybody, whoever else is still on the platform here with us. It has been a long day. Long day. So who do we got out there this evening? Maybe a little Mississippi Mudhound. I know there's one out there somewhere. Well, good evening, Warren. How you doing, buddy? Trying to find the remote so I can turn up the heat in here just a little bit. It's been dropping a little here and a little there and a little there and a little here. Get that heater on. Been busy as all get out with all kinds of different projects today. I've had MC Kid, he come down from, where's that at? Around Missouri. He's over there fairly close to St. Louis. He come over this afternoon and visited with me for just a little bit, him and his wife. We took care of him. He made an appointment some time ago, so we got him all squared away. And now he'll be back on the radio. Yeah, I always work late, Warren. Right, wrong, or indifferent, buddy. Yep, right, wrong, or indifferent. See if I can't get this camera here. If I can maybe I can keep my elbow out of the picture a little bit more. What is this thing gonna make me show every comment? Something must have changed on my format. So I hope I don't have to push a button every time somebody says something. But yeah, we're usually out here every night. Hello, Popcorn. Yeah, I finally got to break into my new stash of transistors here too. It's crazy. I tap every one of these holes, and yet sometimes I don't know why they're still tight. Even when you blow them out, I still get one that sometimes is tight for whatever reason. I have no idea why. don't know why, but I guess I'm gonna have to go back and check. Warren, for whatever reason, it's holding every one of your comments for some reason. You've been blacklisted, or been giving somebody the dickens here online, or what? I wonder if I still got my other screwdriver. I actually bought a specialty screwdriver just for these transistor pills some time ago. It's supposed to make my life easier anyways. Charles, where are you at, buddy? You gotta be in there somewhere. Still haven't got anything from him. This is even his amp. There we go. Oh, yeah, we've got some pretty interesting stuff coming up there that I'm going to be doing while we're here on YouTube. Unfortunately, I was not able to get by the print shop Friday. I had really hoped on being able to do so. So I went ahead and I opened up the email and I put some actual print paper in the printer, or picture paper, I should say, so that it'll look a little closer to what it should. But where we're getting ready to make some changes here coming up. So I was kind of hoping we'd get a few more people in here. See if we get the thing to focus a little bit better. Well, good evening, Brian. How you doing, buddy? I know you've been a busy man too. I plan on being busy. I just opened up, one flat. I've still got another one here. Besides, I've got some miscellaneous in another one. So, I mean, it's not a lot, just 40 of them, but that's half of what I ordered here this last go around too. So, got those They'll be going back into the house with me here. Well, I seen you sent me a picture. That actually surprised me because the last individual that I knew of that owned the item, which I'm not sure if you get it off of that person or another one. Shoot, I built that one several years ago. So that's I know that's been around the block because of where everybody's either gotten something bigger or they've wanted this or they've wanted that and traded with this one and traded with that one. But no, thank you. That one is way overbuilt on the inside. I will say that truck. The reason why, that was the 300 amp that I originally built myself, I think 4, maybe 5 years ago, that I actually used here in the shop for my bench. So, like I said again, I actually way overbuilt it. Yes, it is, and it's great. I'm actually going to build another one, and I've got it's a little over 600 amp, but it's a 600 amp power supply. I'm actually going to be building me probably another power supply, so I may have another used one that'll go up on the market. It depends. I've got to get some time. Another thing, depending on how late you're up this evening, I do want to get with you on another item, but since you're in there, because I know sometimes you go to bed early, unlike me, I'm out here for a while. I'll be out here probably 3:30, 4 o'clock before I call it an evening and go in and watch some TV before bed, because I usually stay up till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, which is my normal shift. So got some interesting things into the works. If you would see what all I have got coming up, might be impressed. Well, good, Gertie, he is alive. Actually, I've done that already, 3. I have actually built a wireless power supply. Let me see if I can find. Let me actually find the other piece of it, and I'll show you. And if I wasn't looking for it right this very second, it would be right here. Getting that off of it. I just got to find one more piece, and I'll actually be able to show it to you. If I quit knocking stuff off the walls. That's for a different project. There it is. Dun, 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 dun. And let's get this. Put that there. I didn't get to see what you said, buddy. I'm sorry. There you go, wireless power supply. You got to be close enough for it to pick up. It's not got a huge range, but if you do get close enough, it will light the bulb up. What, you like the Allen head screws? I bet you love that. All right, enough playing around. Yeah, about 5 years ago, I used to. Yeah, it is a Tesla coil. Yeah, you can use a couple of different things actually with that. Yeah, that thing hasn't probably been blowed out since I built it. To be brutally honest, and I know two of the individuals that owned it, if not three of the individuals, and none of them will pull anything apart to clean. The Allen heads, I have went away from those. I actually started out using the Allen head screws in all the amplifiers, the really nice stainless ones like what's in that. I actually started using those about 12 years ago, and I quit using those about 3-4 years ago, roughly. The reason why is because, well, I didn't want to buy another driver for the hex head screws. So since then, and I don't even use pan head screws, but I do use a Phillips type screw. And I'll show you the difference in what basically everybody else uses and then what I use. So it should be this drawer. All right. All right, so focus. Focus. There we go. Okay. This one is a pan head. This is what they call a truss head. So all the amplifiers I build have a truss head. This one right here. That's what all of them have versus that. And what it amounts to is the head itself is a larger diameter. And you know, it just gives a little bit better body ground. I mean, I still use some of the others just because I'm, you know, as far as on like a circuit board or something like that. I've only got about 50 left. When they're gone, I will probably just use the other ones. But if I'm in a really tight spot, I'll use the pan heads as far as like for bolting down the boards. Otherwise, I use that truss head, which is a huge difference. You know, but all the hardware that I still use, you know, from 12 years ago till now, is all stainless. Now there is kind of a exception to the rule that I use, because it depends on what I'm working on now. Typically if I'm building completely from scratch, I'll use a stainless steel screw here. Otherwise, I'll use those zinc plated screws as far as for my transistors. So I mean, it kind of depends on the circumstance as to which one I use, especially for the repairs, because I've not personally drilled and tapped the holes. So if that's the case on the heat sink, I will use the other ones for that particular circumstance. Good evening, Gary. Instead of going to tech school, huh? Yeah. Let me grab the input transformers because I'm actually going to go ahead and put the other ones on there. I decided after I'd already put down my transformers here, I pulled these actually back off. Part of it's because I put them on there originally because I hadn't got the transistors yet. I've got the transistors, so I went ahead and, since those were just tacked in place, I went ahead and pulled those back off. And I'm actually going to use a different type of input transformer on this particular build because it's a 6-pill. So kind of one of those builder choice things. But yeah, I mean, there's multiple different, I mean, there's a ton of different screws. One of the things that I actually had thought about, Brian, which I know you would literally go absolutely insane, but there is 2 amplifiers out there somewhere, unless they've already been changed out. I'm wondering if I've even still got the adapter for it. Anyways, it was a specialty screw that you had to have a certain bit in order to take those in and out. And it was kind of a halfway safeguard, because I know that, which I really looked into that a long time ago, and then that's whenever I decided, people are going to do what people are going to do no matter what. So kind of got away from them just because of the expense of it, which I only ordered a few just to try. But they were the safety screws, to where, like I said, you had to have a special bit in order to take them out. But the screws, the reason why I actually haven't decided, haven't went to use those, is even whenever I buy 1,000 at a time, I still would have to pay almost 50 cents a piece for a 632 screw, and that is just not practical. So, I just went back to to a normal type screw head. It's just, they're the same, but they're different. But yes, early, I have built a wireless power supply. It's just, it doesn't have all the features and usability that we would use for in here. Plus, it's a little noisy on the CV frequency. Because of the frequency that the Tesla coils typically run at. They actually create a harmonic that lands on our favorite band. Ten years ago, I never did build that I can remember anyways off the top of my head. 10 years ago, I don't remember any of them that I built. 4, 5, 17. Oh, you finally got the top off of it. Okay. Yeah, that's where I finally upgraded from a little 100 amp power supply to that 300 amp that I built myself. Which it took me a month to gather up all the pieces and then put it together. I was thinking it was somewhere around 4 years ago. So, yeah. Let me grab a drink here and we'll keep going back on this. Now, that power supply will go up to 21 volts, but it will not hold a full 300 amps at 21 volts. I will warn you that truck, depending on what you play with it on. So, but I'm sure you've already seen that there is a massive amount of wires in there. Like I said, I way overbuilt the power supply, and I've made some serious changes yet to the way I build power supplies since then. But anyways, one of the things, since we're already on this, this is not necessarily the same as the Evolution series, one of which you can see we've got the 1/2 inch transformers instead of the 5/8. But thumb roll or drum roll, I finally have a guy that is doing powder coat, so we will be offering powder coat cases. I did small batch. This one's actually done. I got one more little tidbit that I've got to do to it yet, but I'm also waiting on the new labels for this. What I have, and I laid one on the board for those of you that probably weren't paying any attention, but I printed these out on photo paper because, like I said, I forgot to actually go pick up the samples that they printed for me. But this is going to be the new badging that you're going to start seeing on a lot of the amplifiers. And then that one that says Evolution. So this is the small, these are the small labels. 21. Well, hello, DD. I see, Charles, you decided to finally get in there. Anyways, yeah, I kind of wanted to see what you guys' thoughts were on that before I have a whole bunch of them printed out. Like I said, it's very, it's going to be very simplistic, but we're using some old style lettering that's similar to the other one. Nope, I don't have you on hold, but for whatever reason, it does that on quite a few of what you send. I don't know why, but anyhow, like I said, for the Evolution series, this is what we're looking at. Like I said, it's going to be very, very simple. You guys remember the other labels that I've had. I've got, like I said, a couple of the small ones like this that we've got in, and then I've got this one. This one's going to be a bass. I've got one more bass that's going to be in the Evolution series, but it's going to have the silver top and the gloss black finish on the front. This is just an empty case. This is a spare that'll be sitting on the shelf for if somebody wants to actually have one, purchase one. This is another one that I will actually be stocking a couple of at a time. I'm not going to get crazy on it, but this is actually going to be the new box that I'll be using for the 454 4-pill amps. So, just kind of give you guys some new things that's going to be coming up. See what your opinions are. I've got one label that's a little bit bigger for you guys to see. Unfortunately, like I said, I printed them out by size. I don't know. I know part of it kind of washes out. It's easier to see if you actually see it in person. Part of it where he used part of the lightning in the sky to use for underneath of it, it kind of blends it out a little bit, and I may go ahead and just have that completely taken out. But this is just, like I said, some of the labels that I'm looking to have changed and put onto the amplifiers themselves. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But if you guys would, I would like some feedback before I go ahead and spend a couple of $100 and have a large number of these printed up. I tried to print off one of the larger ones. Unfortunately, it wouldn't let me turn it sideways to print it out to full size. And I know by my screen it looks in reverse, but it stops here. But anyhow, like I said, it's just something to kind of get some ideas and some sketches. But like I said, we'd love some feedback from you guys to see what you think. But the Evolution series is going to be available with either the regular 2879s or the C series. This one, as soon as I get it finished up, which isn't much, I've still got to get some badging and stuff put on the back and labels on the front, and just like I said, the little finishing, the finishing touches. But like I said, give me a little ideas as far as what you guys think. Well, at least I've got one. All right. Like I said, I know you can't go wrong with black as far as on that. Like I said, the gentleman that's remaking my labels, he's actually going back through and he's just throwing a few test samples at me. This is one of them. Like I said, I'm just hoping that when I'm done, that I'll actually like the way everything looks. But like I said, I wanted to get the samples, and I just didn't have time Friday to stop by there and get them. But hopefully that's enough where you guys can kind of say, yeah, I like those, or I don't, or well, what about doing something a little different? Like I said, I want to do a little bit of an update. Since we are going to have a different series of amplifier that's going to be available. And on the Evolution series, for those of you that haven't really got into that portion of it just yet, it is a biased AM amplifier. If you choose to have the sideband, it can have sideband. They will all have, with the exception of one, which is the bass amplifier. Where's it at? Must be this drawer. They will actually all have a yellow tinted copper board. kind of a pain in the rear as far as on a 2-pill, but they will all use a large 3-pole relay. And the reason why for the 3-pole is, like I said, going into the biased amplifier. So everything from transformer, power wire, basically the best of all the worlds that you can get in an amplifier is going to be in there. I've kind of cherry picked a lot of pieces and parts from different people in different areas that are producing products that we use. And like I said, that amplifier, I mean, it comes with a little bit more price tag, but again, you're also getting a huge difference. Sorry, I've got a lot of these marked already, so that's what I'm doing is pulling these out. Normally I'll go ahead and have everything set up ahead of time on the capacitors. A lot of times once I match them up, I'll put dots, colored dots based on what capacitance they are, so that I can go ahead and just grab them and go. Let's grab our handy dandy tool here. Yeah, I've sent you a little bit of this and a little bit of that. That way you could actually have an idea of what different ones are. I know a lot of people don't like putting bias in an amplifier, and for a very, very long time I was the same way. But I've also got where I've had enough people in the last year, I've had enough people that have wanted biased amplifiers that, I finally have one setup the way I'm doing it that I really like, which has made life tremendously easy. Whether you're doing with the exception of the 2-pill, because there's only so much room to put one together. If it's the regular 2879s, just for an example, there we go. The amplifiers, I really don't mind doing a 2, 4, 6, 8, or even adding biasing to a 16-pill. And that was something that I never, ever, ever wanted to get myself into. And like I said, I'm getting where I kind of like it. Whether you're using it for sideband or whether you're using it for AM, They are some of the cleanest amplifiers that are on the market. All right, buddy, I didn't know you even had to work tonight. If I'd have known that, I would have bugged you a lot sooner. Just kidding. But early, how's things been going with you, big guy? You know, I know you're not on the same social platform as the rest of us hardly anymore. You're just hanging out here on YouTube, thankfully, at least. You know, sent you a few little goodies for Christmas. Hopefully, maybe I'll get you in there where you'll start doing some live feeds. I hope. You know, not just uploading all your videos. Yeah, you're in the shop working right now, huh? Usually by now you're at the front living room, kicked back, doing virtually nothing. Oh, you're out in the garage working. You're not in the shop. You're in the garage. Well, that means you're taking a break. If you're on there on YouTube right now watching me, that means you're taking a break. You're doing nothing. Yeah, I remember a time early that there is nothing that I would like better than sitting down, working on some of my old Chevys, but I got to the point where I just don't like doing my own mechanic work anymore. sadly to say, and I've got plenty of tools to do it. I don't have I don't have the extent that you have, especially with having lift available to you. That would be incredible. I think that's the main reason why I just have quit as far as doing anything to do with working on my own vehicles anymore. broke married guy. Oh, dude, I've been there with you. How about a broke married divorced guy? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, let's just rely on old Joe. I don't think so. I don't think I want to rely on Joe for anything. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, I feel like what he did to the troops after the inauguration, that alone, even if you don't remember any of the stuff prior to that in itself was enough to turn my stomach. Okay. Well, I'm going to have one weekend where I'm going to do nothing because I'm almost out of a lot of the already pre-matched parts where I've taken hours and sit down and done all this crazy stuff. I have got to sit down and do some more matching. That way I can just keep pulling parts. The only thing that I get lucky enough that I don't have to technically match parts because, it is what it is. You only need one of this and one of that, so on and so forth, is a 2-pill. That's the only time that I really get a break from doing that, and I can pull out of the regular bins. Let's see, you almost got enough squirreled back to start getting serious about one. Oh, early. I don't know what I'm going to do with you sometimes, buddy. I thank the good Lord that they broke the mold when they made you. Well, here lately, early, it seems like you've been rebuilding a lot of vehicles again. I don't know if you're kind of getting back into that scene where you're going to start doing more cars than amps or what, but I know you always like messing with cars. Let's see here. There we go. Usually I can eyeball them pretty close, which this one still needs to be tilted just a little bit. I have a really good friend of mine that now what he likes to do, looky there, let the framing square, push it up against there, lift it up. For eyeballing it, that's pretty doggone close, I think. Not that you want to, you got to. That's funny, Gary. That is funny. That is funny. See, a lot of it, the reason why he's having to work on all these vehicles because he's been taking too many vacations. Yeah, I've got this one I'm going to start tonight, and then tomorrow afternoon when I'm out here, I've got one that I need to get on, and I can get it repaired. I should be able to get it repaired in one other one. And then I have a radio that's been here for some time. I was actually hoping to have gotten to the radio by now, but Quantus Interruptus, you know, with everything that's been going on, it's been difficult to stay ahead of the game. I know when Charles gets back in here, because I got this part of it laid down, and I can't remember if this is supposed to be a straight 6 or a 2x6 or 1x6. I can't remember, so we're going to leave that one on there until we get to that stage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I think, let's see here. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need 9 inches. I'm going to make those actually way longer than they need to be. And since I'm already up, I might as well go ahead and make up the combiners for this. Yeah, I've had to experience that before 3 as well. Sadly, I have been there, done that myself. Yeah, even if the vehicle's paid off, it's just like a house. You never really get it paid off because for some reason, the county, the state, everybody still thinks you owe them property taxes and all that other stuff. You know, which property tax would be great if it was just a one-time deal. But it is not. I am going to have to turn that fan on because it's getting smoky in here. So are you getting ready to vacation down there in Palm Beach again there early? We know who's making the money building amps. Good evening, Ruben. I see you decided to pop in there for a visit. Don't hear from you very much anymore, big guy. Hey, speaking of which, because I know that, just with everything that's changed here over the course of the insanity, are you guys going to still have a break this year, or do you know what's going to be going on with that, or is it still all based on, what restrictions that they put on us this year? I haven't got anything secured. I've been waiting, and I'm going to try to figure out what's all going to go on here right around, what is it? I'm hoping to know something by the end of March as far as with some of the tentative dates that I've got, some things going on. But I am going to try by March to find out, and that way I can secure something that's a little closer to the house and what have you. I'm going to try to find out as far as different availabilities and some of the other stuff. I'm hoping anyways, if I can get enough things together, I'm going to try to have another break this year down here. Of course, I know it's all subject to change based on some of the other stuff that's going on. Okay, so yeah, we're all unfortunately in that same scenario where we got to kind of just sadly play it by ear. Let me cut some more of these here because I'm going to have 3 more for the other inductor, for the other yeah, that thing. Combiner. think I'm going to do it that way. Yeah, let's see here. Let's add a little more light. I know most of these are fairly close, what I've used out of them. That one's not bad. It's only one puff difference. Check a couple more here real quick. There we go. That'll be our third one. Did do something here a week or so ago, and it finally came in earlier this week that I've been playing around with. Got me one of them little fancy KC901S meters. Same thing that Luke uses, and been playing around with it, setting some different parameters and what have you. I think I'm going to like this. It does a great deal of different things. Not had a chance to try it for all the different things, but I will actually be using this whenever I go to tune this. I'll be using this for sure, but definitely interested in it. I don't know if you've seen one of the things, it's nothing crazy, but it comes up and it's got my name in there where I put that in there. So that's one of the things. It shows different parameters. You can put your principal frequency in here, your span. I've got this one set approximately between 15 to 38 megahertz as far as on my span, which is, plenty above and plenty below the standard, the standard frequency that we're going to be using it for. I've got the principal signal at 27.20, so that's what I've got it set for as far as on this. But let's see here. Let's see, spectrum analyzer. If I want to stay with the same parameters I've got set up here, and still keep my same principal, it goes ahead and keeps the information. So that's a small little span. I know Luke usually goes much further out. But like I said, I'm just playing with it right now, just trying to get a little bit more format. I've not been able to play with the Spectrum Analyzer as of yet, but that's going to be here hopefully at this weekend, as far as with one of the functions. The other one, let's see, that's where we go in to make our own settings and changes. We've got Spectrum, page down, page up, field strength meter. I thought that was kind of interesting. Low mode, I'm not sure because it's got a low mode and high mode. I haven't quite figured that one out as far as what that does. Antenna gain, that's kind of interesting little feature there. You can actually set parameters based on what's been given for what you're working on. You can go ahead and do a division by 10 or multiplication by 10 to give you some more info. Again, that's not one that I've got to play with as of yet. So back here, I'm not sure what the DTF is. I'd have to pull the book back up and read it. I've definitely had to go through and do some multiple reading over and over and over. But comes with batteries. Whatever this one is, I've got the span set for 50 megahertz. Trying to remember which format that's for. Like I said, it's a lot to learn. It really is. It's just like start as far as for your for your frequency range, and it'll go through based on whether it's open, closed, you got on hold or not. Like I said, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting piece of equipment. One of the things I was actually kind of shocked whenever I bought this, I wasn't expecting something to be quite this heavy or well built. Just because I've heard it out of somebody's mouth, I don't always, I don't always think of that, because I've had what some people consider heavy duty is not, and some people, it is. But this thing, I think it weighs like 3 or 4 pounds. And it comes with batteries already in it, a charger. Yeah, I bought those probably about 15 years ago, and I am, I know I've sent you a few of them back whenever you needed certain values. Depending on what I'm using, I've just got a few left. I've been trying to use them up in small, in small areas. They've got their advantages and they've got their disadvantages. It just depends on what and where you're using them. But I've still got some of those that back about 15 years ago, I had a really hard time trying to get a hold of. Just for an example, the 1000 puff metal clads. And that's where I actually got introduced to those. And for the the little 1446 amplifier that I was building about 15 years ago, I bought some of those because ICA was out at the time, and for whatever reason, RF Parts, they wanted, I think at that time, because their prices have never stayed consistent, but they wanted something insane, like I think $10 a piece for the ones that they had. And it's like, man, I can't justify spending that for one little part, especially whenever we were buying these 15 years ago. We were buying these for $2.50, $3 a piece. So that's where I kind of got sucked into those old Russian capacitors, and I bought a handful of different values because I thought, okay, well, these are great. They're going to be for, they're heavier duty, they're this, they're that, da 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 da. And it depends on where you're using them at. In some cases, they work superb, and other places, they aren't worth a cold cup of, well, you get the gist. So, like I said, just some of the different things that I've come across over the years, and I'm still using and trying to find somebody else that either likes them or what have you to, get them started. As you know, I've gave more stuff away than I've probably ever used. Some of it is even stuff that I still use yet today. Speaking of which, early, because of where I've made some changes, and I'm just going to a different style. Let me take care of this here real quick. It's starting to get warm again. Do you need any LEDs? Three made. Early, still in there, buddy? Do you need any LEDs? If so, I've got red so far pulled. I've got red. I've got a whole bunch of white. I have got a crap ton of blue. I'm going to go ahead and go through the green ones as well. But I ordered a whole different style of LED that I'm going to switch everything over to. So if you can use them, I'll put them back and I'll make you a little care package. They're all 5mm. But like I said, I've got red, white, blue. I know there's going to be green for sure, which are pretty much all the colors that you normally would use. But I have still got a small handful of packets to go through. Like I said, I'm just switching over to a total different style. So, I mean, there's probably going to be 1,000. If you go through them all, there's probably 1,000 different LEDs that are going to be available in those bags. And all of them I've used at some point or another in an amplifier. It's just since I am changing everything over this year to a whole different, format, I am changing a lot of things, Granted, I know LEDs aren't, super expensive, obviously. But I'm trying to work through some of this. I mean, I know you haven't been here, but I mean, I've got, cabinet there, that's all different transistors. Those three cabinets are, two of them are nothing more than just resistors only. The other one is diodes and LEDs. And we get over here behind my head, I've got another cabinet that's going to go in that one little spot where I've got my charger thing over there. If I can get out of the picture. And I've got all those cabinets that are full of nothing. That's nothing but amp parts except for half of one of those bins. And then same thing with the toolbox. All transformers. Now, with the exception of another bag of yeah, nope. One of those. Oh, those are some specialty screws I bought for another project. I wanted to make sure they're there, but you know, where I bought another pack of those because I just didn't have any place else to put them. You know, same thing. You know, same thing. Like, so this is just nothing but ant parts. You know, that whole, you know, this whole wall is nothing but ant parts. Oh, dude, you still ain't seen, you still ain't seen, but just half. I've got another room. I've got a room upstairs that I've got nothing but radio parts and radio repairs in. That's all that's in it. Oh, that's the reason why. So I forgot to move that up. But I've got one room in the house. Thankfully, I'm single. Otherwise, I would be single real quick. But yeah, I've got one room in the house that is actually larger than my shop, and it is full of cases, heat sinks, boards, heat shrink, and you know, part of my own private collection of radios, and you know, some of the excess wire. Because again, I mean, I've got plenty of wire. Go up here on the ceiling above me somewhere. And I've got the wire rack on the ceiling, and then I've got another one that's over there in the corner. Yeah, yeah, I've got, I bought about, what, somewhere close to 5,000 of those whenever that company went out of business. I bought everything I could find. You know, I went through 3 levels on that building, and I grabbed any and everything that was related to that, right down to what little Teflon wire that he had left. Yeah, as far as for the, well, and see, that's just like the super heavy duty ones and long ones. I mean, I'll still use those on certain applications, but well, that one got bent. I don't know how it got bent, but it got bent. But it's easy enough to straighten out. But I had some brass ones actually made up, you know, just for me. So I've probably got 25 or 30 of each right now. Of course, those I use typically if I'm going to put it on the board and I want to prop it up or set it up. That's what I've got those for. Like I said, I mean, I've got a lot of stuff, but at the same time, I mean, I don't have as much as some of the other builders either. But I mean, I've still got, you know, thousands on thousands of parts. As soon as I can get the other building built, which I took a small loan out to go ahead and have another building built. Once I get that done, I'm going to do some more rearranging, and that's the other reason why I'm going to try not to take anything else in the rest of this year. I've got about 6 projects in, so at this time I will probably quit taking stuff in, mainly because I want to, like I said, I want to go ahead. I've got a lot that's got to get done. You know, part of it's for myself, and then part of it is also for you know, the other stuff that I've got going on. You know, between getting a building built, I want to try to get stuff reformatted. You know, this year is going to be packed, packed with projects on the whole. I'll come back to that here in just a minute. I cannot believe this radio is this quiet over here too. I ain't even on the dummy load this time. That's the crazy part. But this year is going to be one of my busiest years for as little work as I'm going to get done in here. Like I said, with everything that's going on between getting ready to have another building built here on the property, you know, it's going to be one that I'm going to try to move a lot of the equipment out of the house, and it will be, I'm trying to get 2 different quotes, one of which is to add physically onto my shop here. And then the other one is to, you know, go right next to the shop and build another building. So I know which one should be cheaper, but the other side of that too is I've got to move a whole bunch of dirt and dig down and all that stuff to get it to match up the same. All right, buddy. Well, if you're getting out of there, we'll holler at you later. You need to get Amy's taken care of. That way she's good to go. We'll go from there. Get this message here sent. Okay, so there's that. We may have another one. Yeah, Toshiba's, yeah, they're getting out there. The perks of the C's versus the regular 2879s. Well, they do put out a little more power. That's probably one of your biggest perks. I have built a couple of boxes with them. The first one that I introduced into the Evolution series, which, like I said, is going to be available with regular 2879s and the 2879Cs. The one that's on the YouTube channel right now that has the yellow board with the biasing and everything. Your big thing is you are going to see more RMS out of the box. Now, supposedly, from my understanding, and I've been playing around a little bit with them, and you know, you can run the voltage up just a little hotter than the regular 2879s. As far as longevity, I know Danny. He's been building for the last, you know, almost the last year with them. Haven't heard of too many you know, downed amplifiers with them, you know, as of yet. But I mean, there again, I mean, we just now started getting other builders that have taken over and started using them. So I'm not, you know, I'm not 100% versed on them. You know, I'll be quite honest. I can only tell you what I've seen so far in the last couple of months that I've experimented with them. You know, two pill. One of the perks, if you're using it on a two pill, you can drive it a little harder. You can put a little more wattage into it. For those that have, for example, a Connex, let's just say a Connex 3600 HP. That's going to do, I think, about 60-ish on the PEP, and then you're looking at, I think, around 20 on the bird. You know, that's typically putting a regular 2879. That's pretty much putting it at the top, you know, top end. You know, I have seen that, you know, when you put a lot more drive into it, it does seem to handle it just fine. The downside, I'm not sure if they actually have enough on the physical foot space. Whenever you look at the transistor, because like I said, I've got two pill amplifiers, one of which is going to be a volted base that has the C's in it. The other one that I have over here that I showed earlier, that I'll be doing, you know, doing some different things, because now if you use just a regular radio on a two pill with them, you're not going to gain, you know, from what I'm seeing, you're not gaining anything other than the fact that you can get more out of it because you can drive it a little harder. But when you look at the overall base of the C's versus the 2879s, you got to remember one's rated for 100 watts, the other's rated for 150 each on the transistor. And you know, they haven't changed the physical size, whether it be the thickness or the width. You know, the physical girth of your tabs have never changed, nor has the foot changed. Now, so far from what I've seen as far as running tests, and I even ran a FLIR meter on the 1x4, which now I did use the 2879 for a driver going into for the C's. Now, and we stayed at our constant 14.4 voltage that I typically do everything on. I use a fixed power supply, so you know, I can't show you crazy numbers where, you know, I'm turning up to 16 volts and, you know, gaining, you know, insane numbers. But you know, the foot itself, I don't know if it is going to be able to dissipate enough heat. You know, so there is a possibility if you go much over from what I'm seeing. I probably would not recommend building anything larger than about an 8 pill with them. I know there's a lot of guys that have, but again, you know, the larger the amplifier, the more heat and the more duress that the transistors are going to be on. I don't know that there's enough active cooling, even though you're mounting those to a physical heat sink. I don't know that there's enough active cooling once you start driving the transistors. Now, granted, you're splitting them up. The larger you go, you know, the more you can split up your power going to each, you know, going into each transistor. I did get the 48 pill finished. Now that one, you know, that one did make me a little nervous, but part of that has to do with the fact that, you know, you've got 48, you know, C transistors. You know, they're another $15 a piece. So that's a pretty hefty, you know, pretty hefty price tag, especially since there's no discount on those transistors. Even when you buy, like I did this last time, I bought 60 of them. Whenever I went ahead and did the repair on the 48 pill, I ordered 60 of those. Again, I don't know, you know, I don't really know how far you can really push them. But in the larger boxes, I know they're a little hard. The larger you go, just like anything else, they are harder to keep together, unless you use a certain type of format. So that's something else that I was looking into as well. Is they do tune completely different. It does cost more to tune it just because of the extra time. So I'm not real sure. Like I said, there's perks about them. Where I think they shine the best is in a 4-pill or a 6-pill. Those are probably the two amplifiers I've seen where, for the size, they seem to work really well in. I know people build all the way up to 30. So far I think the biggest, with the exception of the 48 pill, which from my understanding there's only been 2 of those ever created. I don't know that I would feel comfortable building anything larger than an 8-pill at this time with them, until I see a little bit more as far as on some of the stats. They're like I said, they're a very unusual animal, all the way around. But like I said, for one of the other ones that I want to try for kicks and grins, and I probably will eventually go ahead and build one just to see. Haven't had a call in 3 years for one, but that would be like a 3-pill. I'm really curious to see what a 3-pill will do with those. The 2-pill, if you're running it like a normal 2-pill, I can't say that I've seen enough difference as far as putting like a Cobra 29 into it. There's not a huge difference. But you can put more wattage into a smaller package. So, your drive changes. Again, your RMS changes, based on the drive, obviously. But, the peak numbers, if you're a guy that likes peak numbers, I don't think that's the transistor for you. From what I've seen personally here on the workbench, and I've watched everybody else's videos, but on the workbench, I haven't seen peak numbers to match what the RMS does. The RMS is definitely great, but again, I'd like to see those out and more people building with them, here in the next year before I can make a determination, because, there again, I can only build so many amps a year myself. And right now everybody's in the same mode. We need feedback to find out, what these are going to do on the whole. Hopefully that answers a little bit for you. But like I said, they're just a very unusual animal. I did have a 6-pill over here that I did some collaboration with on another gentleman, and we hooked it up 14.4. We hit it with a 4-pill 454 box, and we seen 900 bird out of a 6-pill. Now the 6-pill was built specifically as a competition style amplifier, so it was built old school. We did a lot of different tests on it. We checked heat ranges and some other things, and I was very impressed out of a 6-pill. To see 900 bird out of a 6, that's pretty impressive. But again, we drove it pretty hard to get those numbers. All the stuff that's on this crazy thing. There we go. There we go. I may or may not have a new YouTube subscriber here in a minute. Yeah, like I said, unless you're getting something in crazy, crazy built, um, at this time, like I said, I would stay with the regular ones. My big thing, I mean, I've seen pretty decent numbers as far as on the heat where they've stayed, they don't seem to really get much hotter. But like I said, I've only done about 3 or 4 tests on, like a 6 pill, 6 pill, 8 pill, and a 4 pill. 2 pill, no heat range difference whatsoever. The others, they've stayed, fairly consistent with the regular 2879s, other than, your RMS numbers. And at this point in the game, we all have a lot more build time with the other transistors too. I'm not just saying that about me. I'm talking about all of us as a whole. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter really which builder. Like I said, I know there's only one that essentially that's all he's building with and has for the last year. Um, and he's done some, very impressive things with the transistors. But like I said, I'm just not. I'm not confident about some of the ones that I've seen when you're looking at, like I said, the larger transistor, the larger builds. Um, but just like anything else, I mean, it's going to take time, and there'll be a lot more of us that start building based on the requests for them. So, but I mean, I'd like to see a lot more of the 6 and 8 pills built. Like I said, I know there's a couple different guys that are building with them, but again, I'm going to stay hesitant on them until I've seen enough of them come across the workbench, whether it be in for repair, be a repair or for you know actual build statuses. Before I really feel super warm and fuzzy about them. Okay. Well, hello, Daniel. What's going on, buddy? Click. Yeah, yeah. That's the other thing too is everybody's going back and forth on is, how much is this going to change? Are we going to have consistency? You know, the variations right now, granted, they've not been huge, but just like the regular 2879s, each batch, and that's the reason why I'm going to try this year to order in larger quantities than what I've ordered in the past. That way, at least during build sessions, um, I can see how they're going to run and go from that point. But time will tell, just like anything else. You know, that's what it takes is time, and we'll figure out. We'll figure out all the goodies on that. Yeah, I've still got to get. I've still got to get with another guy that has been cutting me out some metal for different projects because I've got a couple other builds that I'm going to be working on too later this summer that I want to play with, and I've got to get with him, get him some dimensions so I can go ahead and get some of the other copper heat sinks, or not heat sinks, but copper spreaders uh, cut out for me. So, like I said, I've just got a lot going on in the next 2 months. Yeah, I definitely understand that, Gary. And tubes, honestly, depending on how large a box you go, tubes are actually becoming a more and more viable option, especially since some of the Russian tubes are out there. But we've definitely got some decent options. But you're also looking at getting into some fairly large boxes too. Um, I've got one particular amplifier that I've kind of been looking at, and that was something I was hoping to get to this year, and I don't see that happening. I actually wanted to go ahead and start kind of playing around with tubes, but I think I'm going to have to put that off one more year. Part of it also depends on what takes place this fall. I've got something else that I'm going to get into, I think, um, before I do that. Mainly because right now what I'm looking at is taking some college classes that are coming up. So if I do that, it's for work, and one of them will be for what we do right here every day. So, here in the communications portion of it, anyways. So, I've just got to be able to find time, and that's the reason why I'm going to really crack down on what I take in. Other than just doing new repairs or new builds. Um, the repairs, I could get so overwhelmed with repairs that, um, yeah, I mean, I could be busy enough right now. I could actually come back in here in the shop full time. I did the shop thing here for this last time. I did it for about what was it? About 3.5 years continuous. I lived right here on the workbench, and in many respects, I like that. But the only problem with that, just like anything else, it's feast or famine. I could get enough work, but if I take too much of the repair work in, it is very difficult to actually get enough time to, make the money. The money's there, it's just the time. Because you get eat up alive from doing all the repair work sometimes. That's the main reason why I've really cut back on the radios, just because of the amount of time that it takes to, diagnose a lot of the symptoms and then go from there as far as, you know, in some cases ordering the special made part or the special parts that aren't available everywhere. Yeah, I could do that. I don't know if that individual that I was texting a while ago, I don't know if they ever found the channel or not. Hope they did. Figured maybe they would chime in at least once and let me know that, hey, you know, I did find it. I'm here, yay. But it's not too bad. We got 11 people at what? Almost 3 o'clock in the morning. The three-way combiners, I think, is probably the one I dislike making the most. Mainly because it's so hard to get the resistors to look exactly the way you want them. It's probably the only thing I've got against doing these. Otherwise, I like making them. All right, Early, if you're getting out of there, buddy, take care. Have a good night. I don't know that I'll show that comment, but have a good night. Jeannie, did you ever make it in there? So why in the world did you have to work tonight, Charles? Oh, wait a minute. It's probably to pay for this. I think you're going to be the #1 customer of the year. So how much did you tell your wife that you spent with me this time? You know, for $10 extra, I can write the bill according to what you say you want it, what you paid for it. Oh, okay. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see. No, if you left right now, you wouldn't be able to make it before it closed. I'm going to say we got a gun and knife show tomorrow, but they'll be packing up by the time you get here if you left right now. By the way, while I've got you on here, I got it started, but I can't remember. Did we discuss a driver, or are we going to do this with no driver? I can't remember. I know we talked about both directions, and I got as far as I've only got one side tacked down, but 2x6. Okay. I thought that that's what we had talked about, but I could not remember to save my life. So, this portion of it I hadn't really done anything with yet for that reason, because I wasn't 100% sure. Now, thankfully, because otherwise I was actually a little upset, but not real bad. Mainly because of the fact that I found one in the archives. But where I do so very few of these, On the 2x6s, I usually don't stock, but maybe one at a time. So I actually had to go up into the storage room, and lo and behold, thankfully I had one. They were supposed to have express mailed this to me, and I got my FedEx box. Well, they shipped this out. They were supposed to have shipped this out through the mail, and theoretically I would have had it yesterday. Unfortunately, it didn't come in. What did come in was your case. I'll throw that paper away later. Put that in the other chair. So we got it. Now we just got to get everything else finished up on this. We'll drop the pallet down inside the box. All right. Now, because of what I've seen out of the last 2 6-pills, I'm actually not going to put the resistors on this one. Reason why is I've seen it 2 different ways. I've seen it where it seems like it works better without putting the resistors here on the input. I've tried it both ways. 99% of the time I always use the resistors, but I'm going to try and see how it tunes out this way first, and then I may have to go back and change this. Well, hello, Jeannie. I see you did find me. So, yeah, so we are in here. Well, now you get to see what I do for part of my living. This is the fun part. You know, the other one, you know where I'm working at, so you know how much fun I have there too. But anyhow, this is what we do here for fun. So since that's going to be the case, Charles, I'm going to go ahead and solder this other one down here real quick. I'll grab the transistors, and we'll go ahead and get your transistors mounted here for the 2x6. Like I said, I thought that's what we finally, because it was one of those where I know you'd been back and forth on the fence about either the 2x6 or a straight 6-pill. I know part of it just depended on the radio. You know, which I know that you've got, you know, you've got it figured out what you want to run with it. So that's the good part. Now it's just, like I said, finish that. Oh, speaking of which, did you know that I had some Mississippi Mudhound send me a brand new RK56? He must have done that because he likes me. Yeah, I know the 959 is for you, or the Road King 56. I'm sorry. You know, that was an expensive little box that I just put in the transistors. I actually had to, since they didn't have enough at the time that I placed the order for those, because I originally ordered 80 transistors. I ordered 40 and 40 because of where I've had a lot of calls for the 454s here lately. And I went ahead and they shipped me half of my shipment for the 454s until the other ones came in, and I went ahead and let them go ahead and put that back in stock, mainly because I have way overspent this month. Way overspent. You know, I know you've watched, along with everybody else, you know, has seen the analyzer that Luke uses, and it is not cheap, the one that they make by Deep Space. But after doing the 48 pill and pulling my hair out trying to find the discrepancies within the circuit, and you know, called him up, told him what I was having, you know, having as far as issues and what have you, and we used the FLIR gun and the other archaic equipment that I've been using as far as on my digital meters. Some of the other things that would have speeded the process up, I didn't have. So I bought the holy grail of meters. You know, so it was either order transistors or order that, or go ahead and take the other 20 that I had ordered. You know, that's $1,300 sitting there that just came in this week. So that's the route we chose to go, because the other ones, I don't have them sold yet. Now the fun part is playing around with that. You know, of course, I think last month was kind of expensive because I had bought another piece of test equipment. It was either I think it was last month. You know, whenever I broke down and coughed up the money for the Rig Expert, which has not been a bad purchase in any way. But I think between the Rig Expert and this, I have 2 MFJ meters that I am going to go ahead and put up for sale. As soon as I use that one and I figure out how to use it for the coax, because there again, I've used an MFJ for 20 plus years. So I know how to go ahead and find the sweet spot on the coax whenever I'm doing a specific frequency, to make the calibrated jumpers. I know how to use the MFJ for that. This one, I know I can go through, look at the dielectrics, look at the velocity factor, look at the dB loss per like 1,000 hertz or whatever the case may be, and I can actually enter that. There's actually a place in there where I can save it, and I can go ahead and set it based on the parameters of the coax. So once I do that, I know I can go ahead and put an end on it to make life a lot easier. I can put an end on it. I know I can go ahead and send a signal through the coax. It's supposed to also show you distance to fault, and also I should be able to go ahead once I've played with it a little bit, and that's where I don't have much of it left, but I'm going to probably use the RG8 and play with it first because I've got maybe 20 feet of that left. I'm going to play with that and check where is resonant at for the length that I've got. And with that being the RG8, it's a whole lot cheaper for me to nibble away on you know, 35-cent piece of coax versus a, you know, a $3 piece of this stuff. Because I think this is about, you know, the going rate's about $3 a foot, you know, for the RG400. So, you know, I definitely want to play with that a little bit and see just what I get into. But yeah, this thing, I mean, Luke said that it was built like a tank. I mean, he said that multiple times on his videos. You know, and I've talked to him. He's given me a few good pointers that have speeded my learning curve up on the meter dramatically. You know, there's a few things that I haven't learned yet, but, you know, I've only spent maybe an hour and a half total playing with this. One of the things that's kind of neat comes up, you know, tells you Rainmaker across the front, so I was able to do that. You know, it's got a time date, you know, time and date in there that's also available. But you're actually going to be the maiden voyage on this when I go to tune this out. You know, since it's got other parameters that will make life much more enjoyable as far as learning that meter. Mainly because of the fact that with it being a 2x6, it is, you know, what we call in this realm, we call it the bastard build. However, because of the fact that we're going to be using LC networks on the input and on the output, I'll actually be able to use that to tune out the input and the output circuit of the 6-pill. Now, granted, I've already got, especially where I've done 3 here just in the last couple of months, I know what has changed, so we went ahead and made the necessary changes as far as on our inputs here for the capacitance. Now we'll go back and, like I said, I'll go ahead and tune out the rest of the input circuit going in here, and then same thing for here on the output. We'll go ahead, once the relay's mounted on the circuit board, we'll get that taken care of and go from that point forward and get it tuned out as well. So, you know, this one, I know you're not in a hurry for it, but I'll be able to use this one and play with that meter because it's got a lot more changes and variances than just a typical 4-pill. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, you know, really playing with it and potentially learning a lot more. Yes, you are the guinea pig. But you also have to remember I've still got all my other old meters. A second here. All right. I know that individual's getting off. All right. I'm going to grab an input transformer. Charles, do you want this with a variable on the front? Well, like I said, with what little I've got to play with that so far, I'm really impressed with the meter. Like I said, I mean, I've seen it, you know, I've seen Luke use his for the last 5 years, and it's one of those that it's like, yeah, you know, that looks cool. It does this, it does that. Um, it's still kind of hard whenever you don't have one of your own sitting in front of you. Yeah, sometimes it's a little hard to get wrapped around your head as far as, um, you know, how useful it can be. It has a lot of the same features that the Rig Expert has, which the Rig Expert, I do like the Rig Expert. It is definitely a piece that I would, you know, suggest to somebody. Um, Especially if you're not doing the kind of stuff that I'm doing every day. You know, I know there's a lot more features that I have not unlocked yet with the you know, with the Rig Expert. That's another, you know, that goes into a whole nother thing as well. Um, and even Luke has told me, you know, he's had his for 5 years. Granted, there was almost no information at the time that he got his, you know, his. Um, I know Zane over at Big Rig Radios, he uses one, and I actually got with him here a couple of weeks ago. Ordered some parts off of him, and we got to talking about it. Now, granted, I know he also has not had time to really go through and see all the different features. I mean, he uses it for, you know, three or four things. I mean, in the truck to go ahead and do the tune outs and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Now it's, oh man, it's just like I said, some of the features that I've seen, it's almost endless, and I'm not in a position where I'm not going to be able to play with all of them here, you know, just in one weekend. I mean, it's going to take me a month to really, you know, really get into it and play with a lot more of the features. But, you know, that's just like the Spectrum Analyzer. Now I've got not just one, but now I have two between the handheld on the Spectrum Analyzer and the other one that, you know, you've seen off and on in different, no variable unless you have to. Oh, okay. That works for me. Yeah, I'll see how it tunes out, and then we'll go from there. I know where you do all the hunting and fishing and all that good stuff. It's just one more thing that could get bumped and nobody know what's what. So, alrighty. Yeah, I mean, if it's a base, I really kind of like having one if it's a base. In the mobile, I definitely agree with you. Like I said, I know that you do a lot of hunting and fishing. You've got the kids that get in and out, the wife, the dogs. You know, and then you got guns and fishing poles and all that other good stuff that gets in and out of the truck. So yeah, like you said, it does make life simpler. And I, excuse me, I've played enough with the two pills with the 454s that it's not usually a big deal to go ahead and get the input down on them. Unless you forget and wind the input transformer wrong. I had one here a few weeks ago that I built for another guy, and for the life of me, I couldn't get it down. I was sitting there trying to figure out what was going on. You know, I could get it down to almost acceptable, but just not quite. So it's like, well, what's going on with it? So I backed up, took a look at it again, and that's when I noticed, oh yeah, this is not a 2879 box. You need 2 more wraps on the input to make the input lay down flat. So I had to rewire the input. Once I did that, everything went bloop, fell right into place. I think it had maybe 0.2 of a watt reflect on the input. Besides the fact that my power came up. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Nope, I need to actually start that out the other way. Yes, I intentionally left that long. I remember what it is as far as on the length for if I'm putting a variable in, but I don't remember for without. So it's just easier to cut it because I can use this for another portion of the amp. Alrighty, let me get another metal clad. Almost smells like gunpowder. Not that that's a bad smell either. Oh, good Lord. Well, now you're legal to eat ham all day long. Think of it that way. That is a joke, by the way, Charles. what I need to do is figure out a time that I got to find out how much vacation time I get to have this year. I'm actually hoping that they will allow me to use. I should have some PTO time already built up, and I'm hoping that they will allow me to use that this year for my surgery that I've got coming up. I actually talked to the doctor about it this evening, and I'm going to try, after I go back to work Monday, I'm going to try to find out as far as how my schedules are, because I've got to take at least two. He really wants me to take preferably 3 days. If I get it done on a Friday, if I get it done on a Friday, he wants me to actually take two, preferably three extra days. He wants me to have at least 5 days to heal before going back to work. So I got to figure out how that's going to work out too, because I mean, we've been, fairly short here lately on people. So I got to see how that's going to hit. But where I've got PTO that's supposed to be for me being able to use that for doctors and stuff, I'm really hoping that where's it at? There it is. I'm really hoping he lets me go ahead and use that, and I don't have to use my vacation time, because otherwise that's going to really get into one of the other things that I really want to get done or do this year too. And I don't want to give up my vacation time. Where I want to come down and visit another friend of mine that's, I think he's 2.5 hours away from where you're at. Well, hello, Mr. Nobody. But anyhow, like I said, he's about 2.5, maybe 3 hours from where you're at. And if that's the case, I mean, I'm going to try to swing over and hang out with you and maybe do some fishing too for a day. Like I said, I got to wait and see. I got to wait and see what this is going to turn into as far as with the surgery. I got to go in for my post-op first. So Kevin, what are you into, big guy? I'm really surprised Art hasn't popped in there. He's usually always in here whenever I do a live feed. But yeah, that's kind of shocking to me. Let's see here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Let's do 9 inches for that. Just finished playing Xbox. Do you ever get finished playing Xbox? Those games are endless, dude. I've got 2 kids that play Xbox, and I got a guy at work that I don't see how some of them do it. You know, they'll play endless hours of what is that? Call of Duty. That's the one I was trying to think of. You know, they can play endless hours of Call of Duty, and then whenever they get to work or whatever, and somehow or another I might have mismeasured this in my head. But anyways, they can play endless hours. Yep, sure did, because I needed one more turn of that, and then turn right back around and watch endless hours of somebody playing Call of Duty. And it's like, how? How in the world can you do that? I think that's probably the biggest thing. You you were playing for 12 hours. Yeah. One, two, three. So that's crazy. But I guess that's no crazier than what I do, because I mean, I'm out here. Oh, geez, I've been out here for 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, I'm on my 17th hour out here tonight. Well, yeah, I do make some, but at the same token, everything that I make out here goes right back into it. You know, I don't actually, and I haven't for the last 2 years. That's part of the reasons why I've been able to, uh, really grow kind of leaps and bounds, with, some of the inventory that I now have. Um, if you've ever watched a Luke Miller video from Mr. BBI, these aren't cheap, because I know you just tuned in, so, the money's went out there, and I've actually put more money into it as far as this year than what I've been able to in the past. So, I've added this year, between this year and then what I made last year in here, I've actually went in the hole, because I've taken about $2,500 out of my own pocket expense to buy extra cases, bulk up on transistors, that kind of stuff. All right. Let's drop this in the case. That way I can figure out where I want to put the relay. Just like I need to actually put this on my next order list too. I've only got about a half a dozen left. And Charles, you said you wanted me to set this up strictly for sideband, right? You already knew I was pulling your leg on that one. I think the only way that you'd want to run sideband is if you thought you could catch another fish with it. Yeah. Yeah, just put a sideband switch on it. And I know it's kind of crazy because here I am putting these in and I'm going to take it right back out. Of course, these will be left in place. I'm going to leave them loose until I actually get everything mounted, but I've still got a lot of work to do on the case. Speaking of which, while I think of it, Charles, what color of LEDs do you want? Your choices are blue, 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 or double blue. Of course, I do have red, white, blue, green, yellow, and pink. Surprise you, pink it is. I better stay with what I originally thought it was going Enough in there the way it is. Looks almost purple, but if you look at my hand, it's actually pink. Just in case you thought I was actually jacking with you. And that's the red. I'm not even going to go there on the white. On your radio, which version did you order? Did you order the one that's got the green display, or did you order the one that's got the blue display? I mean, I know this is just kind of a generalization, but it lights up as green as a Mountain Dew bottle. Okay, pink it is. Yeah, this one, they actually gave me an inch and a half, a good inch and a half extra of heat sink. Not that I'm complaining. I'd rather them, overdo it on the heat sink than what I've seen in the past from some of the other guys. Thankfully, I will have to say that ICA has never been one for doing what I call cheap heat sink. I've seen some that they have done the whole heat sink thing, and there'd be about this much heat sink underneath a 4-pill. A 6-pill, maybe like this. So if you put it up there, it wouldn't even cover the length of both transformers. I mean, to me, that's really, really sad when you've got people that are getting that chintzy. Yeah, we're supposed to get some snow tonight. I don't know what you guys are going to get, but we're actually supposed to get snow tonight. I don't know how, because it's still, I'm showing 36 degrees in the shop, but it is showing rain. So, yeah, we'll see how that all rolls. Also had kind of a nice surprise. One foster child that I took care of a long time ago. Honestly, I wish they would go back to a red as well. To be brutally honest, I actually prefer the red as far as on the internal lighting for the radios. I mean, that's a personal preference, but I'm kind of like you on that. I really wish they would go back to that. I think that's one of the reasons why I like the Ranger 2980 WX that they had there for a while. I actually liked it better than I did any other radio, and most of it was for that one reason: is they used the red LEDs. They're easier on your eyes, especially if you're sitting on the radio for countless hours. Whether you're sitting there on the radio and watching YouTube, some guy build amps, 4 o'clock in the flipping morning. Why, I have no idea, but I guess it's just because of the hours I'm used to keeping. Push that back so I've got it for when I need it. I don't know if I'm going to need just a little 1/4-inch piece or how much extra till I get to that point. Okay. But it's starting to look like an amp. I'm actually surprised, Kevin, that there's not any bigger difference than what we've got, because you're only looking at 9 degrees difference between where you're at and where I'm at. I've got one of the little units on the wall, so it's fairly accurate. It's a lot closer than my phone, I'll tell you that, on most cases. Okay. And where are they at? Here we go. Actually, I need Need to order some more of those. Well, fine. It's kind of sad. I didn't realize they were doing it. I thought they were just getting ready to go through and gut it and clean it out and do some repair work to it. But I was mortifiably shocked because it is the second oldest building here where I live, and they finally tore it out. I was actually shocked. Granted, I know that the building isn't, anything major to talk about as far as the building itself, but it's kind of sad to see them tear it out. It's one of those that I always dreamed about buying it and fixing it up and putting a little shop in myself. And a lot of it's I never knew who owned it. I just hate seeing old buildings tore down, especially if they're able to be repaired. Really? You've got 55 in Florida. Well, that's really not bad for Florida this time of the year. You had to go outside and look at the thermometer. Well, see, that's the whole reason I spent $50 and bought the one I did here about 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't want to walk outside. I mean, some of those weather stations, gee golly, Miss Molly, you can sit there and spend some serious money on. It is absolute crazy what I've seen some of those things go for, depending on how wild and crazy you want to get on one of those weather stations. I mean, you can buy them for anywhere from, I think, $29.99 all the way up to like $1,500 for there at the house. You know, and even at the $1,500, you know, for the weather station, it still doesn't kiss you goodnight. Well, damn it, Charles, you should have went ahead and left it up there long enough for me to at least read the retracted message. Well, come on. Well, Biden could also sniff me too, but you know that ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry, but there's enough of us out here that probably go along with it if they were sniffed by Biden, no matter whether he's an elected official or not. Chances are his nose would get broke. And I am being incredibly kind on saying it that way. Gone with the wind, yeah. That's funny. Spell it so wrong you had to remove it. I've been there before. Definitely been there before. All right. Let's see. Dig. I'll find the right size here in just a minute. Don't feel bad. There's a lot of us that can't spell. There's a lot of us that can't talk. I'm speaking from experience. I can't talk half the time. Oh, speaking of which, have you guys, you know, I know most of you guys are all pro, Pro 2A. have any of you guys been kind of halfway pricing ammunition here lately? If you have, you will have seen some of the same things that I have, which is these guys are flipping crazy what they want for ammunition. Good golly. Well, hello, Mr. Art, the man with the pink radio. Who wants another pink radio, Charles? Oh, I mean, hi. Well, that's pretty bad. I ain't that bad, but I am pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's been, as far as if you're wanting to buy it locally, you are not going to find it locally around here, even in Indiana. Um, I know for kicks and grins, I ask people from time to time just because I'm curious as to, I know it's not just my area, which, we're the crossroads of America. I mean, everything, travels through Indiana at some given point. Um, and that's one of the things that it is just insane. I just have a hard time comprehending that we have that little availability as far as for ammunition. I went ahead and placed an order here earlier this week, and I ordered some online, and I would love to have a lot more than what I've got. Now, thankfully, I have been buying ammunition off and on though for the last 8 years, so I'm not quite what I would call starving for ammo, but I would definitely like to have a little more than I've got. But there's companies out there that they won't even do they won't even do pre-orders. It's like, really? But for kicks and grins here just the other day, when I was looking to buy a little extra so that I had, a couple of extra boxes. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, I found a place online and I went ahead and bucked up, and that's the reason why I'm really kind of hurting this month. I found a place online, and in less than 48 hours, what I bought that for from what I started seeing the price of it just this week. Okay, standard issue 9mm, target ammunition. Okay, I went ahead and I sucked it up because I didn't buy some here just a couple of weeks ago. because I was hoping maybe I'd come across another deal, which, yeah, that's, yeah, that didn't happen. So what I wound up doing is I went ahead and I bought some ammo since I found it, and I bought 1,000 rounds. Okay, and it was still nearly double what I really wanted to pay or was willing to, but given the circumstances, I thought, okay, well, you want it, you should have it, let's do it. So I went ahead and ordered 1,000 rounds. All right, well, it was, $750, which was an exuberant amount for what it is. 2 days later, kicks and grins. Let's see if we pull it up now and see. Da, 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 da. Outdoor Limited. I don't know if this is the one that I went to. All right, well, that's not terrible compared to what I've seen. This one's actually fairly cheap. They've got it for $44.99. $44.99. Really? You guys are still going to charge $44.99 for Tula 9mm ammo? 52 for MaxTech. Yeah, here's going into the prices that I saw 2 days ago. This is for a 50 round. Oh, price. Yeah, price per round. 50 round box. $99.99. That was for 147 grain, which it's a bigger bullet. Okay, now 8 months ago I bought. It was a different brand, but I bought the hollow points, which I bought a 50 count box, 124 grain, for $24 for a box. But it was hollow point 124. It's the police issue version. Okay, here they still want $100 a box. Federal, $100 a box. Gold Dot, $100 a box. $100 a box. $100 a box. I mean, you're already seeing the trend. How many rounds do you get? Oh, 20 rounds you can get for $40. Let's see here. If you want to buy 1,000 rounds through this company for federal ammo, $2,000. Hornady, 115 grain for what? 25 round box, $50. I mean, just asinine. Asinine. I'm at the point now with what I just bought, and I used to love going to the range every week. Well, that's obviously took a different turn, with everything that's went on. But I used to go to the range at least once a week there for quite some time. But I was also buying it for $8 a box. It's asinine because, I mean, it's not costing them any more, and if anything, it's probably costing them less to actually manufacture what they are manufacturing, because they are buying and selling in mass quantities. Yeah, it is a less expensive round, but I also, for what it is today, here's the thing. The 9mm around here was cheaper than buying 380, by about 15 cents a round. So, significant difference in cost. But like I said, the insanity, that's what's killing me, is the absolute insanity that these guys are getting, and it's highway robbery. Which, I mean, we might as well buck up and expect the fact that what the price of ammo is right now is what we're going to see for the next 5 years. Especially if Biden has his way about it, where he's wanting to add or increase the tax on ammunition by like 30 some percent. I forget what it is on firearms. Yeah, it's sickening and sad all at the same time. Alrighty, guys. Well, it is a little after 4 o'clock. We've got our pallet primarily built. We still got to get everything set up over here in the corner, and start getting stuff mounted. The other one, I've seen these tune out a couple of different ways, and that's kind of one of the things that I am contemplating right now. I've seen them tune out well with just using the leads off of this. I've seen them tune out with coax, based on what kind of inductance that it's going to need for the system. So it's very unusual sometimes, because I've done it both ways. Both ways work. Now, granted, I don't like to do what I've seen some people do, and set it up to where this one is like 3/4 of an inch going to this one, whatever it takes to get to this one, and then whatever it takes to get to this one. I still try to keep everything symmetrical, because to me, I think you wind up with a better balance. But anyways, with that, I am going to take a break for the evening. We'll come back in here tomorrow. I got to get some other stuff finished up, and then we'll come back and work on this late tomorrow evening. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you popping in, staying with me. For those of you that have stayed through the whole duration, I definitely want to say thank you. And we will see you guys, hopefully. Let's see. Yeah, about 1,000 rounds, 10mm. Yeah, that's really good. But anyways, guys, take care. God bless. We'll catch you tomorrow.